This is the second part of 7.4. We're going to talk about rhombus and square today. So a rhombus is also a parallelogram. So it has all the properties of parallelogram, like opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary, and the diagonals bisect each other. But a rhombus has 3 more special things to it. Ignore the bell. All sides are congruent in a rhombus. So all 4 sides are exactly the same length. The diagonals are perpendicular, so they form right angles. And the diagonals will bisect the corner angles. So the 2 angles here match to the 2 angles here, and the 2 angles here each match to the 2 angles here. So in example 1, we know that the length of JK is 12, which means every side is 12. We know that JN is 7, which means NL is also 7. But what we don't know is anything about MK. We do know that we made right angles when I intersected the diagonals. So JM is 12. JL is 7 and 7, that's 14. MN, all right, here's our first case where we don't know MN. So what I would do is I would take my right triangle, the same as I had to do with my rectangles. I have A, B, and C, so let's make this our X. So we're going to do Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. X squared plus 7 squared equals 12 squared. So that's going to be X squared plus 49 equals 144. We're going to do 144 minus the 49. So we get 95. And now we'll take the square root of both sides. So I get 9.7. So MN and NK are both 9.7, which means that the total length of MK is 9.7 plus 9.7, or 18.4. Oh, sorry, 19.4. So here's a check-in, pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. For example 2, we want to find all of the angles in this picture. Immediately, I know I had right angles here, so 8 is 90 degrees. I also know that these 2 are the same as these 2, so all 4 of these are 38 degrees. So angle 3 is 38 degrees, angle 4 is 38 degrees, and angle 5 is 38 degrees. The remaining 4 angles are also all congruent. And I have a few options to find it. What I will choose to do is I will use a right triangle right here. So I know that 38 plus 90 plus angle 7 is equal to 180, because this is a triangle that adds to 180. So that's going to be angle 7 plus 128. Take away the 128. So angle 7 is really 52 degrees, which means every one of those remaining angles is 52 degrees. So here's a check-in. Pause now. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. In example 3, we are told that it's a rhombus. So every side is congruent. So if I want to solve for x, I could set these 2 equal because all the sides are equal. Take away our 3x. Add our 77. Divide by 6. And x would equal 14. They want us to find MP. So MP is one of the sides, so I could plug it into any of the other sides to find out what it is. So let's plug it into 3x plus 7. So we get 49, so MP equals 49. Here's another check-in. You could pause now. Answer is posted on Google Classroom. For example, for A, we know that these two angles are congruent because the corner angle was bisected. So I'm going to start by just finding out what x is, and then I'll worry about the angle they want to find. So 5x plus 1 will be equal to 8x minus 20. So if we solve, get rid of our 5x, add our 20, and divide by 3, we get x is 7. So now they want me to find angle FED, the whole angle here. This whole angle here is supplementary to this whole angle here. So what I would do is I would find out what this whole angle is and then take it away from 180. So 5 times 7 plus 1 is 35 plus 1 is 36. 8 times 7 minus 20, 56 minus 20 is 36. So the whole angle is 72 degrees. So 180 minus 72, the measure of angle FED is 108 degrees. Another example, we know it's a rhombus. We again know these two angles would be congruent because the corner angle was bisected. So we know 13x minus 16 is equal to 9x plus 4. Let's get rid of our 9x. So 4x minus 16 equals 4. Let's add our 16. So 4x equals 20. And divide by 4, so x is 5. This time they want us to find angle ADB. So just this piece. This piece is the same as this piece. And this piece is part of a right triangle. So I can say this angle, which I know x for, plus 90 plus that angle would equal to 180. So I'm going to make this a variable here just so I don't have to worry about calling it d or anything like that. So we're going to say that 90 plus y plus the angle 13 times x minus 16 will equal 180. So 13 times 5 is 65, plus 90 and minus 16 is 139. So when I take that away from 180, we get 41. So that's our answer. The measure of angle ADB equals 41 degrees. Here's one for you to try. You can pause. The answers are posted on Google Classroom. Now we're going to talk about our last type of parallelogram, and that is the square. So a square is another type of parallelogram. It has all of the properties of every other shape we have learned. So it is considered a rhombus, it is considered a parallelogram, it is considered a rectangle because it has 4 congruent sides, it has 4 congruent angles, the diagonals are perpendicular, the diagonals are congruent, and the diagonals cut the angles in half. For example 5, we have ABCD is a square, and AD, this side is 11. That means every side is 11. So BC is 11, EC, AC, and BD are all parts of the diagonal. So nothing else is 11, that's all we've got. Now I would find the length of, let's say, AC. And I'm going to use a right triangle again because I know every corner in a square is a right angle. So I could do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 11 squared plus 11 squared equals x squared. So it's going to be 121 plus 121. 242 equals x squared. And when I take the square root of 242, I get 15.6. So the entire diagonal of AC is 15.6, which means the entire diagonal of BD is also 15.6 because the diagonals are congruent. And if the whole thing was 15.6 and the two pieces of the diagonal are the same, if I divide 15.6 by 2, EC is 7.8. So that's for our segments. For our angles, they're either going to be 90 or 45. 90 because we know that we have right angles in a square, and we have right angles where the diagonals meet. So there's right angles in each of these corners. There are right angles in each of these corners. And then each of the right angles got split into two 45-degree angles. I know I'm not putting any degree symbols right now. I just want to write the numbers. So now for each of these, angle DAB is the whole angle at A, so that's 90 degrees. AEB is in the corner where the diagonals meet. That's also 90 degrees. CBD is only half of one of the angles, so that's 45 degrees. And BAC is also one and half the angles, so that's 45 degrees. So here's a check-in, pause, to check your answers. So for example 6, we're given the length of ST and SV, and they tell us that it's a square. So in a square, we know all sides are congruent, so I could start by setting the two sides they gave me equal to each other. So we'll get rid of our 6x. We'll get rid of our minus 14. And we'll divide by 3, so we get x is 7. So if x is 7, that means SV and ST and TU and VU are all, when I plug 7 in, let's say 6 times 7 plus 7, 42 plus 7 is 49. What they're asking us to find is SU, which is a diagonal. So the diagonal of SU is part of a right triangle that has sides of 49, 49, and SU. So we could do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we're going to do 49 squared, which is 2401, plus 2401 equals x squared. So that's 4802 equals x squared. And when I take the square root of that, I get 69.3. So in this problem, SU would be 69.3. Here's one for you to try. Pause. Check your answer when you're done. So for example 7, we have a square. We know each of these little angles in the picture is 45 degrees. So all I have to do is set 7x plus 3 equal to that 45 degrees. And it's 45 because it started out as 90, but it got split in half. So that's a 3. So 7x equals 42. Divide by 7, and we get x is 6. There is one final one for you to try. Pause or end the lesson. Check your answer on Classroom. And that is 7.4 part 2.